Hi everybody, this is Dr. Nigro with the Chem Calculations screencast. This screencast is going to cover the calculations involved when you're conducting an acid-base titration with a strong acid and a strong base. Whether the strong acid is being titrated or is the titrant, doesn't matter. The calculations are going to look very similar. I'm also going to draw a titration curve for you and indicate the 4 different sections of that curve, just so you have an understanding of what that's going to look like. All right. For this particular video, my example is going to be a strong base with the addition of a strong acid. All right, now, if you're doing a strong acid with the addition of a strong base, the calculations are going to be similar. It's just you'll get pH in some places where I'm going to get POH, and then POH where I'm going to get pH. But you know how to make the conversion between those two things. All right, so in general, when you have a titration, there are 4 phases to that titration. You need to write the reaction at each phase and recognize what species present influence pH. Okay. Now that seems pretty straightforward, and it is, especially with a strong with strong. They're easier. We're going to do a separate video for a week with a strong, and that looks a little bit different. All right. So part A. This is before addition of that strong acid. All right. So pH is going to depend solely on the concentration of your strong base. You use that concentration to determine pOH, and from there you can calculate that pH. All right. Now, these are not the titration problems where you have an unknown. All right. For these titration problems, you know the concentration of both things. This is kind of thinking about why the curve develops the way that it does and determining how you can get that pH value at those different spots. All right, so I don't want you to confuse this with a titration where you do not know the concentration of what's in your flask. All right, now B, this is before we reach our equivalence point and we've added some strong acid. All right, so we're not at the equivalence point yet, but we are adding strong acid in. All right, so pH depends on the concentration of strong base that remains after strong acid fully reacts. All right, and then with that strong base, you'll calculate pOH, and then that pOH can be converted into pH. All right, so we've added some strong acid, but not enough to equal the amount of base that's present. So we're going to use up some of the base, all right, but there will still be some remaining, and then that is what is going to control our pH value. All right, the third phase is at the equivalence point. All right, so at this point, the moles of the acid equal the moles of the base. So this is fully neutralized. All right, so if it's a strong acid and a strong base, when we have a full neutralization, we're going to get a salt and we're going to get water. All right, now that salt will have no impact on our pH because they are the conjugate acid and base of a strong acid and base, which makes them very weak. So they do not influence pH. So the only thing that's present that has any influence over pH is water. All right, so water controls that pH value, which means it's going to equal 7. So when you reach the neutralization point of a strong acid, strong base, titration, you should have a pH value of 7. If you do not, then something has gone wrong with your titration. You better go back and check your setup. All right. And then finally, after the equivalence point. All right. So at this point, the moles of acid are greater than the moles of base. All right. So we added enough acid to neutralize all of the base that's present, and then we have some extra acid that's present. All right. So base is fully neutralized, pH determined by concentration of that strong acid in excess. And we'll use that to directly determine pH. Okay, so again, before the addition of strong acid, the moles of base only are present. Before the equivalence point, the moles of base are greater than the moles of acid. All right, at the equivalence point, the moles of acid and moles of base are equal, and then beyond, the moles of acid is greater. All right, this is going to be in my way. Let's put you, I don't really know where to put you. Let's just shrink you. There we go. All right, the reason for that is I'm going to draw a titration curve over here. All right. All right, now when we draw this titration curve, I clearly do not have graph paper. All right, so we're going to be doing a little fudging, but we'll get the gist of it. So pH on the y-axis, for this particular example, acid added on the x-axis, right? So this will be pH of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. All right, we don't really go above 14, but I put a hash mark there. And we're just faking it, so I'm not going to really put anything down on the x-axis. All right, so because this is a strong base in solution, I would expect to see the initial pH value to be very high. All right, so this is phase A. So we get a high pH value because strong base is present. All right, so that would be the first indicator to me. If someone gave me a titration curve and it had an initial pH value up there near 14, that it's a strong base that's being titrated. All right, we then are going to see a decrease in that pH, and then all of a sudden it's going to drop, and then it's going to curve down like this. All right, the middle of that drop should be right around pH 7. All right, this is our equivalence point. All right, where the moles of the acid equal the moles of the base. So pH due to water. All right, now in between those points, this area, all right, you can note that the pH is still high because after reaction with the acid, strong base remains. All right, not as much as we had initially, so that's why you will see a slight decrease in that pH value, all right, but it's still going to be pretty high, okay? Then we add just enough acid to equilibrate, to have equal moles to reach that equivalence point, and then after that, in this region, all right, this is going to be after the equivalence point, and here pH is very low because after reaction, strong acid remains. All right. Now, when you're running a titration, obviously you can see there's a really steep drop as you move through that equivalence point. It could be just one extra drop of your acid, which will put you right through that equivalence point. So when you're doing titrations, please make sure that you are careful. All right, after you do that equivalence point, if you continue to add acid, you should see that pH value continue to drop, but they should be pretty low because we have a strong acid present. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to work through each of these phases in terms of calculations so you can see and you'll have an example. Please remember that this set of calculations is for a strong acid, strong base titration. All right, if I had a strong acid being titrated with a strong base, my titration curve is going to look similar. It's just going to start low and finish up high, but the general shape will be the same. You'll have a slight increase in pH. It's going to shoot up through a pH of 7 at the equivalence point, and then a slight increase at a very high pH to end. All right, so here we have 40 milliliters of a 0.1 molar KOH sample, and we're going to be titrating that with a 0.1 molar solution of HNO3. All right, so a strong base being titrated with a strong acid. All right, so for part A, no addition of HNO3. So what I've got present is KOH, all right, and that's going to dissociate into ions in solution. So I'm going to get potassium ions and hydroxide ions. All right, set up my ice chart. I'm going to start with 0.10 molar of that KOH, none of my ions. The change is going to be all of it because it is a strong base. So it's going to form 0.10 molar potassium ions, 0.10 molar hydroxide ions. So it won't have any of the initial base remaining, and then I'll have 0.01 molar potassium ions and 0.10 molar hydroxide ions at equilibrium. So if I look at these two values, I have to ask myself, which one influences the pH? Well, it's not potassium ions, but hydroxide ions will. All right, so I'm going to take that concentration and I'm going to calculate pOH, which is the negative log of the concentration of hydroxide. All right, so the negative log of 0.10 molar is going to be equal to 1. So the pOH of the solution is 1. But I need the pH, and that's 14 minus that pOH. So 14 minus 1, the pH here is 13. All right, is that reasonable? Yes, because we've got a strong base present. So that is a reasonable value for the pH of a solution with a strong base present. All right. For our next part, we are going to add 15 milliliters total of my acid to that 40 milliliters of base. All right, so one thing you have to watch out for, you have to keep track of the total volume. So 40 plus 15, so I've got 55 milliliters of solution. All right, now why does that matter? Because I have diluted my base a little bit. All right, now at this point, you got a couple choices. You can go ahead and do your dilution calculations right now, or you can just use the moles of each substance and do the dilution one time at the end. I like to use the moles, all right? So what I do is I determine the moles of base, all right? I use that molarity, so moles of base is going to be equal to the molarity times the volume, all right? So in this case, 0.10 molar times 0.040 liters is going to be 0.004 moles, all right? So that's how many moles of base I have throughout the entire experiment. Doesn't matter how much it gets diluted because I cannot create or destroy any of that stuff. That's the amount I have. So 0.004 moles of base. Now for my acid, moles of acid, I'm going to do the same thing, the molarity of the acid times its volume. All right, so that's going to be 0.10 molar times 0.015 liters. So I'm going to have moles of acid of 0.0015 moles. All right, now you may ask yourself, why does it really matter? All right, well, for me, it's easier to see where I am in my titration if I think about in terms of moles of acid and base versus molarity. If I think about in terms of molarity, I'm like, oh, 0.1 base, 0.1 acid, maybe we're equal. For me, it's just easier. But again, you don't have to do it this way. I just do it this way because I feel it is easier in that rice chart. All right, to see where we are, where the moles of acid compare. Oops. to those moles of base. All right, so what do I mean by that? All right, so this time I have a reaction. So KOH aqueous plus HNO3 aqueous reacts to form KNO3 aqueous plus H2O liquid. All right, now I could write this as a net ionic equation, and you're welcome to do that if you like. All right, I just tend to keep it this way because I've got all my compounds listed. It just helps me keep track. All right, so ICE. So initially, in terms of base concentration, I have 0.004 moles, and in terms of acid, 0.0015 moles. And I don't have any of my products yet. All right, now the change. So you look at which one is the least, and that's all going to go. All right, so 0.0015 is less. All right, so I'm going to use up all of the acid in this reaction. I'm going to use up an equal amount of base as part of the reaction, and then I am going to form that amount of my salt and that amount of water. All right, so when I subtract that 0.0015 from that 0.4, that means I have 0.0025 moles left